Um, Mahomes also talked about it. So let's really quickly hear what Patrick Mahomes said about the overtime.
I think it's funny. We go over these rules every single week, and they prepare us for these moments. And when we're in the meetings, I'm like, man, I cannot keep hearing these exact same things. But they prepared us for the overtime rules, knew all the different scenarios, and it keeps us calm and cool during those big moments.
Well, Wilson, calm and cool was exactly what Patrick Mahomes was at the end when he threw that touchdown to Mecole Hardman, wasn't he?
Yeah, but I mean, he's been that way throughout the entire season. I mean, we've seen bouts of frustration because the receivers can't catch or they're running the wrong route or Kadarius Toney's lining up off sides. But I mean, they won because of him. The defense played out of its mind. Chris Jones again was a difference maker, but I think Patrick Mahomes is a different type of cat. And is he the best ever? No, he's not. But he's certainly making a good case. He's 28, has 3 Super Bowls, and I mean, 10 years from now, I don't even know where he's going to be in terms of catching Tom Brady or surpassing Tom Brady, which would be a wild thing to think about. But yeah, he seems unflappable. And Pete and BMAC talked to Isaiah Pacheco after the game on the field, and they asked him, what did Patrick say in the huddle in that last drive after the 49ers kicked the field goal? And they're like, yeah, I didn't say anything because we knew what we had to do at that point. And I guess back to Patrick's larger point, in that they discuss these things ad nauseum from August till now. So there's really nothing left to do but to go out and do it. And maybe that's the takeaway as well, that it became muscle memory at that point, whereas it looked like the 49ers, at least in overtime, felt like they were pressing a little bit.
I think the thing that blows my mind here is that we're talking that Patrick Mahomes is so good. The talking point isn't that he led a game-winning Super Bowl drive in overtime and that he went 8 of 8 for 42 yards on the drive, and that he also ran the ball twice for 27 yards. And so he's so good. That's an afterthought. That's like what we expect from Patrick Mahomes. And we're sitting here debating Kyle Shanahan. But I think that listening to Mahomes' comments, that just really reminds me of Patriots dynasty with Belichick, where they cover every single rule in the rule book. You know, the Patriots know every single rule there is. Belichick's going to take advantage of every single rule. And that's simply what that was, where Mahomes, Chris Jones, all those guys, all the best players, they knew what was going on in overtime. They knew the rules, except for maybe Mecole Hardman, who Mahomes said he had to help him celebrate and remind him that they had just won the game. But Mecole did say on Twitter that he did know the rules. He just was blacked out and shocked that he had just won the Super Bowl. But yeah, so that's really what it reminds me of. So it just, that's what a great coach does. He makes sure everyone's prepared for every situation.
So, Mecole Hardman's Super Bowl moment. Do you think he was just not aware that was a walk-off? I mean, he just wasn't aware?
He said he blacked out. He's probably happy he caught the ball. I mean, he's had some rough patches, as Patrick talked about after the game to Tracy Wolfson. So just be happy he caught the ball, whether he knows the rules or not. He doesn't need to know the rules. Just know which way to go. He got in the end zone on that final play on what felt like an easy pitch and catch, but it was a rough path for Mecole to get that. And by the way, Mecole had that huge catch earlier in the game, the play before Isaiah Pacheco fumbled. So this was probably one of his best games in a while. I think he's
best game of his life.
I think he's headed for free agency, but either way, I think if you're going out.
Remember, I mean, Mecole Hardman, just like Kadarius Toney last year, who made a massive impact in that Super Bowl, was acquired by the Chiefs mid-season as sort of an afterthought. Like most of the Mecole Hardman stuff, when he got traded back to Kansas City, there's all jokes about whether or not like him leaving the Jets and coming back to KC, and he wasn't an impactful player, and then he just shows up in a big way. It's just, again, very Patriots-like to get these random performances from like sort of bit players in these big spots.
Yeah, and it's one thing about, we're talking about Mecole Hardman saying he blacked out and didn't realize what was going on. After he scored the touchdown, he just threw the football on the ground and it rolled off. And I don't know who has this football. I want to know who has this football, because that is a hell of a souvenir. Because look, at the Super Bowl last year, we had Harrison Butker kick the ball over the kicking net. A fan caught it and took it home. He went home with the game-winning football, and we might have a similar situation here with Mecole Hardman. But yeah, I mean, this was the exact performance the Chiefs needed, not just from Mecole Hardman, but from every single one of these wide receivers. I mean, we're talking about these guys that all year were dropping passes, and Mahomes looked like he was going to pull out all his hair because he was getting so frustrated with his receivers. But we see him go with 0 drops in the AFC title game, and they all came back with huge games here. He had 6 receivers who had at least 3 catches. He had 7 who had at least 20 yards receiving. You got a guy like Justin Watson. He had a huge 21-yard catch on 3rd down and 9, I think, at the end of the first half when they got that field goal, when they got their first points, which are key because no team had ever been shut out in a Super Bowl in the first half and then won the Super Bowl. We saw Rashee Rice come up with a huge 3rd down plays, especially the one in overtime, caught a 13-yarder on 3rd and 6.
MVS caught the touchdown.
MVS caught the touchdown. One play after the fumbled punt to kind of make the 49ers pay for that. Jerick McKinnon caught a 3rd down pass on the field goal drive at the end of the game where Harrison Butker tied it. So it was just all these huge 3rd down plays where earlier in the season, these guys were dropping the passes, and for whatever reason, they put it together for these final 2 games of the season.
They sure did. I also want to note, Bill Barnwell sent out the tweet about just like the all 22 of the 4th and 1, where Mahomes, I believe the playlist reads, it's Patrick Mahomes right tackle to KC 42 for 8 yards. That play, if you look at the play design on that play, it is
insane,
outrageous how good it is. Because is Noah Gray 83 or 8? I think Noah Gray is lined up and does a fake instep to his left as if he is, and as the offensive line is blocking to the left as well. And it looks like Noah Gray is trying to get inside to block. He actually is immediately going right back out to draw a cornerback away and allow Mahomes to come up the middle. And it's basically a triple option style play. But Nick Bosa overcompensates, goes over the top because it looks like it's a handoff. I'm not saying Bosa screwed up. I just think it's a really, really, really well-designed play. And I just wanted to point that out before we had to break. And unless you guys have any thoughts.
Well, and real quick, you even had Kelsey. Was it Kelsey that went in motion across the hole?
Yeah.
Behind? And it was even setting it up that he might go under center and run a QB sneak. So if you're because the Chiefs have done that before in short yardage situations. So now you have them kind of looking inside and worrying about that. They're worrying about Noah Gray. The last thing they were worrying about was Patrick Mahomes taking off. I mean, it was an insane play design.